Hi everyone, Aiden here at the etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the RockyMounts AfterParty swing-away bike rack and seeing how it fits on our 2022 Jeep Wagoneer. Now, this is going to be a really nice high-end bike rack. It's going to hold the bike by the tires on both sides, the dual wheel mount design. Now what that means functionally for your bike is that it's going to be good for carbon frame bikes, alternative frame bikes, and with a 60-pound weight capacity per bike, good for some e-bikes too with that battery removed. Now, and it also gets a really solid hold on the bike overall. This is one of my favorite bike racks just because it's very easy to operate and it gets a good strong hold on the bike. All this metal construction holds up really well, and if I do say so myself, I think it matches quite well with the Wagoneer. Now, like the name suggests, this is a swing-away bike rack. That's going to let you swing this out and get access to your back hatch. It takes a little bit to do, but if you need quick access, you can also tilt it. The handle in the back end can remove or get pulled and tilt the whole rack back for quick, easy access with the bikes loaded to that cargo area of your vehicle. So if you need to get something out of the back, or maybe just need a place to sit down, change your shoes before or after your ride, you can do that. All of this is open for access, and we don't have to unload our bikes to get there. Now, I'm going to get this brought down. The button's all the way on this side. And we can lift this back into place and show you the swing-away feature. Just push this back up. You'll hear it lock in and click, and then we can move to the underside of the rack. That's where the hand knob's going to be. Just get that loosened up and fully unthreaded to release the swing-away arm. Once it releases, there's a pull pin back behind it that will let the swing-away arm fully release. It locks in at one point at the very end and then swings away all the way there with another push pin locking here in the middle. Coming out to the side of our vehicle, giving us full range, again, to open up that back hatch. This time, though, with much more room to actually walk up here, maybe get a cooler into our car, or again, have a place to sit before or after our ride, and have a lot more room to change our shoes, anything we need to do. This design is very unique, and swing-away racks are great for vehicles with really large back hatches, or trucks, but in your case, a large back hatch. We'll get this all put back into place. Again, waiting for that hatch to close. We're going to turn our attention to the two pins down here. First, pulling the middle one to release the middle point of the arm, and then the one by the bike rack itself to release that pivot point. From here, I like to change sides so I don't get closed up into it. Push this back into place the rest of the way. The push pin will kind of lock itself in, and then we can re-thread the swing-away arm. Once that's fully threaded in, it's going to be rock solid. So even though there's a lot of moving parts to this rack, it's definitely a good fit. And you can see here, no shake or play. Now, to get the bike loaded or unloaded, it is obviously going to sit up pretty high. So if you've got a heavy e-bike, that's something to be mindful of. But getting these dual arms off, it's very straightforward. Give this blue button here a push. That's going to release that initial pressure, and we can flip it up to fully disengage the ratcheting mechanism and push the arm out of position. You can push that out as far as you want, and we'll do that on both sides, so we can get a full open range to just lift the bike up and away. Because there's no center mass or anything up in the middle of the rack, nothing's in our way, and lifting it up there, all you got to do is lift it. So if you're comfortable enough lifting the weight of your bike, there's not going to be any obstructions in your way. Folding these arms back in, whenever you get them down, just flip that lever back so they don't pop back up. That's what engages the ratcheting mechanism. You can see that here. All those stopping points are different points that will lock in and hold onto your tire. Now at the back end, there's going to be a point with a lock core, and your bike rack does come with a pretty heavy-duty chain lock. The link of the chain will slot in there and keep your bikes locked up and secure when you're not around. It's not recommended that you drive with it because it's a very large chain, but it keeps the bikes very secure, much more than a cable lock would. Now at this point, let's get some measurements. For the ground clearance, it's our first one. We're going to go from the ground to the back end. The lowest point is 33.5 inches from the ground. You're not going to have any concerns with ground clearance here. It's important to mention that we've got our Wagoneer here at the mid-height setting, so that may vary depending on where you've got yours set. But again, 33.5 inches is more than enough. From the back bumper, the furthest out point to the furthest out point of the rack, that's going to be 32 inches. So honestly, we're not adding that much length to the back of our vehicle. It is already a pretty big vehicle, so for things like parking spots, this is going to be adding a fair bit. Just be mindful that it's back there. But if you want to leave it installed between rides and take up a little less space, use that same handle we did before to tilt it down to fold it up. This is going to be a good storage position. Now in this state, that same point on the bumper to the end point now is only 16 inches. So we've cut that distance down by half. So this takes up a considerably less amount of space. One thing to point out with this though is that it does block quite a bit. The way it sits on your vehicle, we're completely blocking the license plate and your backup camera right here. So in the folded state, it will be quite obtrusive. And then for our taillights, those are mostly unblocked, but you are going to lose a little bit of visibility there on the very bottom. Just something to be mindful of if you want to leave this on full time between rides. Moving on down to the hitch, it fits with our 2-inch by 2-inch receiver tube, and we've got plenty of clearance between our bumper and our rack here. The anti-rattle bolt threads in, and there's plenty of room on the other side for the included lock core and the key to get in there. This is the same key that's used on the locking point on the top of the rack, so it's a same key system. And with these factory hitches, it's always good to know that there's room for that lock core and the key, because that's not always the case depending on the bike rack. That anti-rattle device, like we saw before, does a great job at keeping things rock solid on the hitch. And overall, it's going to be a really solid rack. I think in the folded state is where you might lose a bit of points because it just doesn't fit super well in the Wagoneer. But with this general form factor, with the large base, you're going to find that with really any bike rack that it blocks a little bit here. Overall, I think it's a really solid fit. It looks really nice on the Wagoneer, and it's going to work really well at giving you the most room to work around and get clear of that back hatch. Thanks for watching.